Hi again, guys. So, getting ready for dinner again. And I already told you what I like to do before dinner. I like to look at some baseball cards. I want to take a look at my 1967 cards now. These were a little bit harder for me to come by when I was a kid, so I initially didn't end up with as many from the 67 set as I did from a lot of the other 60s sets. So we're going to start off. I have a great looking Tom Seaver rookie here. Love this card. It's very sharp card. And here's the Rod Carew rookie. Now this card, I have a little story to go with it. So when I was young, I had picked up one Mickey Mantle, and I'll never forget it. I mean, this sucker was pack fresh. Looking back on it, I remember when I got it, it was like the sharpest card I had ever seen, sharpest vintage card I had ever seen. It was just so sharp. And I had these two other kids that I played baseball with, and they walked like a couple miles to my house. I always mention I lived in the country, and I lived outside of a small town, and they lived in the town and had to walk through the woods and up the hill to get to my house, and we were trading some baseball cards. And one of them saw that Mantle, and man, he just wanted it bad. And he offered me a trade, and it was my only Mantle. And growing up, I wasn't that into Mantle. I had always thought that Willie Mays was probably the best all-around player that ever lived, and I was a huge Clemente fan. And so I focused more on those cards and a little bit more on Hank Aaron, too, actually. Wasn't a big Mantle fan, but it was my only Mickey Mantle card. And he ended up offering me like a 66 Clemente and a 65 Mays, something like that. It was a Clemente and a Mays. And I couldn't pass that up, so I made him the trade. So afterwards, because I didn't have a Mantle represented in my collection, it's not that I regretted the trade, but I regretted getting rid of that card. So, I went and I searched for one. And this was before, grading and where condition was so darn important to so many people. So I didn't even consider the condition at the time. And so I went and I searched for another one, and I finally found it. And I'll never forget, I paid $15 for it, which was that was about double what I had ever paid for a baseball card before. But I regretted it. I just wanted to get it back. So I bought one, and it was pretty sharp, but it wasn't quite as sharp. And so years later, it was when they came out with grading, and I got back into collecting, and I discovered that they're doing grading now. I'm like, well, let me send this thing in. So I did, and it came back a 7. So that only makes me wonder what that other one would have graded, because I know it was nicer than this one, even though this is very sharp card. Now, I'm not into grading. I always say I buy cards, I don't buy slabs. I show you a bunch of cards. Most of them are not high grades. I know there are collectors who spend more just on grading than I probably spend on buying new cards. And that's the truth. So I'm a card enthusiast. I like the cards, and I don't have to have the highest grade of any card. In fact, I have a card from the 1800s that's graded as 7, and I think that's the only one I have the highest graded example of. I do get excited about rare cards, and I do want my cards to look great. And nearly all my cards look fantastic, regardless of whatever the grade somebody else gave them. So here's my Clemente. I love this one. Willie Mays and Willie McCovey. Here's a Willie McCovey. This is one of the years, 67, 68, 69, that had the player on the checklist. I think I have all the checklists from this set. There's a Jim Palmer. George Scott. And this short print, Maury Wills, and Maury Wills' first Topps card. And of course, I did a video a while back explaining that. So I think I have 3 of these. This was just one of those cards growing up I just wanted so bad. Hank Aaron. Willie Mays, Pete Rose, Bob Gibson. My favorite Maz card, or at least one of them, I love the 59 Maz. That was the first one I ever got, and I remember I paid $7 for it, and that was a lot of money at the flea market back in the day when I was little. But I grew up in Pittsburgh, and he was very popular in Pittsburgh, so he carried a premium. If I bought that somewhere else, it was probably a $3 or $4 card at the time in a different city. But this is a gorgeous Maz card. There's Lou Brock. This is a tough short print, and this is Tommy John. Pricey card. Manny Moto. This is a great card too. I love this card. Willie Stargell. Denny McClain. Don Drysdale. Elston Howard. Frank Howard. And I just love this card. How many times do you get a leader card or any card that has 4 Hall of Famers on it? Sandy Koufax, you know, probably had the best 5-year run of any pitcher. And he's on a lot of leader cards in the 60s. And the 67s are extra special because his last year was 66. So the only 67 cards that had him were the leader cards, other than the very rare, and on my want list, Venezuelan card, where he's standing there like this with the ball. Awesome card. I keep looking for that card. I have found some that were beat up, and you know, I just don't like, I'm not going to spend a lot of money on a beat up card unless it's maybe the Honus Wagner or something like that. It's another checklist. Mantle checklist. Now this is interesting because those two guys were also on a card in 1966. I have that one too. Dick Groat. Milt Pappas. He just passed away, I think, this year maybe, or last year. Another Willie Mays there. Jim Cott. Clemente. Can you tell I'm a Clemente fan? Marichal. I love the checklist with players on them. Reggie Smith, rookie. Hal McRae, rookie. Big fan of Bill Robinson growing up. Was a fan of Grant Jackson, too. Bobby Mercer. This guy is great, real big. This is one of the rare cards in the set, the Brooks Robinson. It's a pretty nice example. Got an autograph, Louis Tiant. Got another Maury Wills. Got another Maury Wills. Mickey Lolich. This is another short print card here. It's Don Clendenin. This is another short print. You can tell I'm a Pirate fan. Steve Blass. It's a Mets card. Beautiful card. Woody Fryman. Davey Johnson. The trophy cards are my favorite. Harmon Killebrew. Billy Williams, Orlando Cepeda. Great card. Gorgeous Tony Perez in this set. Richie Allen. Paul Blair. Rico. Bob Veal. Oop, Bob Veal. Roger Maris. Great Catfish Hunter. Moose. Gaylord Perry. Elroy Face. Louis Aparicio. Dickie Schofield. Al Downing. Willie Davis. Johnny Padres. These 2-player cards are nice. And a great Tug McGraw card. Booger. Ooh, pow. Whitey Ford. That's his last card. That was the first Whitey Ford I ever got. Kurt Flood. We have a few more here. Bert Campaneris. Jose Pagan. Love that card. Ron Santo. Tim McCarver. Don Sutton. Al Kaline. Great card there. Vern Law. Johnny Callison. Nice double. Big Willie Horton. Jim Cott. Chico. And that was my nickname growing up. I grew up, I was in the grade school when the TV show Chico and the Man was popular. And one of the kids said that I looked like Chico from Chico and the Man, Freddie Prinze. Fred Prinze Jr.'s father. That makes me old. Anyway, it stuck for the rest of my life. All my good friends from back then still call me Chico. Jim Wynn. Felix Milan. Frank Robinson. Tony Oliva. Hoyt Wilhelm. Just a few more. Got a lot of stars in this set. And semi-stars. Steve Carlton. Eddie Matthews. Phil Necro. I Must Be in the Front Row. Euchre. Oh, I got some other special things. You know what? Let's just go straight to that. So in 1967, Topps also issued these stickers, and they were regional. I showed a few of them in the past. So they only made them for the Pittsburgh Pirates, good for me, and for the Boston Red Sox. Now I only have one Red Sox, and that's Reggie Smith. Although he played for the Dodgers when I watched him, he was a good player. These are rare. I got a bunch of Pirates here. These stickers are great. So we'll finish up there. Now, how about a couple more? They're calling me for dinner, but I got a few more to show. Tony Taylor, Jim Paglaroni, Gene Alley. Oh man, good ball player. Mike Cuellar, Joe Pepitone, Mel Stottlemyre, Tom Tresh, Don Wirt, the Cardinals, and we'll finish up there. All right, I better go have some dinner. Hey, as always, thanks for watching.